This is chapter 31. The air was thick and damp, like the silence that flowed and the screaming and crying and sirens. The rain had slowed to a drizzle. After Mom and Dad left with the ambulance, Mrs. V took me out of the car and set me in my wheelchair. She placed a soggy, filthy doodle on my tray. "I found this under the car," she said, her voice quiet and shaky. I touched it and burst into tears. She rolled me over to her house and said, "We're going to clean Doodle up and have him waiting for Penny for when she comes home." I could tell she was trying to convince herself. I felt dizzy and nauseous, and I couldn't stop shaking. After changing my clothes into warm, dry sweats, she switched the radio to a quiet station and turned the volume down. The only color I heard was gray. Mrs. V stood behind me, rubbing my shoulders. "Are you hungry?" she asked. I shook my head, no. She kept rubbing my back and my shoulders until I could slowly start feeling the tension slip away. "I'm going next door to get your Metatalker and your dog. Do you want anything else?" I shook my head and just kept listening to the gray. When she got back, Butterscotch was nervous. She kept pacing and sniffing as if she was looking for something. "I think she's looking for Penny," Mrs. V said. "Dogs are smart. They know." She hooked up Elvira to my chair and switched it on, but there was nothing either of us could say. "You know, it's not your fault," she said. I shook my head. Mrs. V should know better than saying stuff to make me feel better. "Melody, this is not your fault." "Yes, it is," I said on the Metatalker. I turned the volume up loud. Mrs. V walked around to where I could see her, leaned down until her face was just inches from mine. "You did your best to warn your mother. You should be proud of yourself." "Not proud. Not enough," I typed. "Sometimes things happen that are beyond our control, Melody. You did everything right." The guilt came bubbling up then. I was mad at Penny, I typed. "Penny knows you love her," she said. Tears came sliding down my cheeks. "I made Mom take me to school." "So what? The fact that you insisted on going to school even after what happened to you yesterday shows what a strong person, a better person you are than anyone else out there. I am proud of you." "Don't be," I said. "I am sure Penny's going to be fine," Mrs. V said, but I could tell from her voice she wasn't sure. For the first time I ever could remember, Mrs. V was unsure. "Will she die?" I asked. "She was alive and breathing when the ambulance took her, so I am going to believe that is still the case. Toddlers are very strong, you know." I had to know something else. Her brain? Is it messed up? I asked. I had seen enough TV shows on brain trauma to know this was possible. My classmate Jill had been in a car accident. I could not bear the thought of Penny like that. Mrs. V thought honestly and thoughtfully. "I suppose that's possible, but we're going to pray it's not the case." 2 broken kids, I typed. Just the idea made me want to throw up. "That's not going to happen, Melody." But Mrs. V's voice wavered, and I heard it. I was still for a moment, and then I typed, "It should have been me." "What do you mean?" "Nobody would even miss me." "You stop that talk like that. My whole world would fall apart if something happened to you, and your parents as well." I wasn't sure I believed her, but I asked, "Really?" "I plan to wear purple to your college graduation." "That's far away and very hard," I typed. "Like making a quiz team?" she asked. "My quiz team left me." "And they lost," Mrs. V said. I glanced out of the large window and at the wet branches. How could I say it? I looked back at my Metatalker and I typed very slowly, "I want to be like other kids." "So you want to be mean and thoughtless?" I looked up at her angry face. "No, I want to be normal." "Normal sucks. People love you because you are Melody, not because of what you can or cannot do. So give us people some credit." "I want it to be yesterday," I typed. "Yesterday your heart was broken because they left you, remember? I'd rather have that than this." "Oh, I know, Melody, I know." "I'm scared," I typed. "I'm scared too." The silent room echoed in our thoughts. "I had a goldfish once," I told her. "He jumped out of his bowl." "I remember your mom telling me about that." I tried to save him, but I couldn't. The phone rang then and startled both of us. I jerked in my chair and Mrs. V picked it up. "Yes," she said. I strained to listen. "Oh no," she said. My heart dropped into my chair, beneath my chair. I listened as she listened for a long time. "Yes." she said finally, and then she burst into tears and hung up. My world was spinning. I typed, "Is Penny dead?" Mrs. V wiped her eyes, looked at me, and took a deep breath. "She has some injuries, a badly broken leg, but she survived her surgery, and she's gonna live." And then she cried. Normal doesn't suck at all.